So industry placements are a really important aspect of a student's study programme. It gives students a good insight into working in their chosen industry, and also the opportunity to find out if it's something they really want to continue with, what it's actually like. It also gives a lot of young people who won't have had an opportunity before to explore the vocational area in some sort of depth. And this applies to new students and returning students, particularly with the impact of COVID. Industry placement also gives the students the chance to link their learning in college to an actual workplace role, so linking that theory to practice. And it's also a key part of it is developing employability skills, whether that's generic with the team building and team working and communication, things like that, or it's more specific industry skills. Both of these can enhance the CV for future opportunities. If the young person demonstrates that they are really successful in the industry placement role, it may be that they're even offered a job. And this has happened to several of our students where they've gone on to be offered apprenticeships or jobs following the course. So in terms of industry placement hours, students are expected to do a minimum of 35 hours across the academic year, but this can be up to 315 hours. This very much depends on their level of study and the vocational area. And some awarding bodies require a larger number of industry placement hours for students to be able to achieve their qualification as well. Students will find the number of hours on their dashboard, but if they have any queries about this at all, then they should speak to their industry placement coordinator who can help them with this. Now, some students may have arranged industry placements from week one. This may be because they're returning students or have managed to sort something out, but we appreciate that many of our students won't have industry placements set up. So, and we also know, obviously, they can be apprehensive, quite anxious about finding industry placements and making contacts with employers. So we have put into place industry placement tasks as an opportunity for students to prepare for the workplace and also to get the most out of their placements. The idea of the tasks are that they are expected to complete them on their allocated industry placement day and while they're not out on placement. And they'll only take a couple of hours each week to do maximum. And the idea is to get for the students then to be able to look at in more detail the researching of employers. So they're looking at where they want to go, really thinking about what it is they want to get out of their placement, and then the practicalities such as how far they can travel. Then you look at things like CV writing, identifying their skills, and also conduct in the workplace. So these are the sort of tasks that they will look at this first half term if they haven't got a placement. Now, if any of the students are struggling with the tasks, then there is support available on a one-to-one with industry placement coordinators, but also in their personal development sessions with their RAP tutors. So if they need any help with the tasks, then they can get support with this. Okay, sorry, I've still got people joining the meeting, so apologies there. Right, okay, so the process then. So when students have actually sourced an industry placement, obviously they need to speak to the employer to agree dates and times and actually to think about what it is they want to get out of that placement. They'll need to speak to their industry placement coordinator to let them know and have that conversation, to get the health and safety form, which employers must complete before students can start placements. If a student has any additional needs at all, then they can discuss this with their industry placement coordinator and also the employer, or they can set up a joint meeting. And this is to ensure that obviously any adaptations can be made within the workplace or any measures are put in place. So if there's any concerns at all about that, then they need to speak to the industry placement coordinator to support them with this. Throughout the actual placement itself, if any questions arise, any issues at all, they should contact the coordinator as soon as possible, not wait until after the placement. Okay. We expect students to be professional, so if they are unwell on a day, they need to contact the employer and let them know that they cannot attend. They need to be punctual and dressed appropriately, just as they would for any job. Okay. So we find students need a varying amount of support in terms of finding an industry placement and also what they require throughout the placement. The industry placement coordinator for the area will have one-to-one meetings with students throughout the year to try and gauge that support. But we do ask the students as well, if they feel they want more support, then to actually approach the coordinator directly. And you, as a parent or carer, are free to do so as well. If a student needs support actually contacting an employer or help finding an employer, they should discuss this with their IP coordinator. However, we do encourage students to try and research and find their own industry placement, as we find they get more out of it, they have more invested in it, and therefore they're more likely to have a successful industry placement. The industry placement coordinators will also share with students, both in their personal development sessions and also on Google Classrooms, any placements that they become aware of and employers that they've spoken to as well. Okay, so we recognise, as I said, that it can be difficult and it can be daunting for students to make contact with an employer and even to engage with them in any format. So we do provide opportunities for students in college to help with this. So some examples of this, we tap into industry-specific courses. For example, the British Airways do an online course, which our travel and tourism students have accessed last year and will do so again this year. We invite employers in to talk about their industry, so students can meet individual employers and also find out about the individual opportunities firsthand from them. So hopefully it takes away some of that scariness of actually going into the workplace for the first time when they've previously met the employer, and also find out what they can actually get out of working with them. We also arrange employers to run short courses to benefit students. So for the last 3 years, we've worked with Unlock, a company running business enterprise courses. And this has been primarily for our business, IT and media students. And they were able to adapt this course online during lockdown, so it's been really successful. And we'll be running these again next term. Okay. So the last placement opportunity that I want to mention today is a very exciting one and new one, and that is the academic year. That is this academic year. We are able to offer 100 students across college to complete a 2-week work placement in Seville. So that is looking to start in February, and isn't it hopefully going to be a very exciting and new opportunity there. Okay, so I've given a bit of an overview there, a short overview of kind of what the industry placements is about. I'm happy to take any questions, but if you feel there's anything after the session today that you want to ask, then do please email us at industry.placements@bcot.ac.uk. And also, I'm going to take the opportunity to ask if you are an employer yourself or you would be interested in supporting BCOT students with industry placement opportunities, then again, please do get in touch.
My name's Peter and I run a hotel. I'm the manager of the Crown Plaza Basingstoke. Anne has asked me to talk from the perspective of an employer, but really this isn't about employers, this is about students and the student experience. So there's going to be a crossover and I might duplicate some of what Anna has spoken about. I'm going to try and answer the question, why do employers do it? Or why should employers participate in industry placements? What's in it for students? Some of the things that you can expect, should expect, and what can you get out of it? So from an employer perspective, why do we do it? We do it because hospitality for quite a long time has had a challenge with recruitment into the sector, particularly in current times, as you've probably heard in the news. And we do it not necessarily because we're going to employ everybody that comes into work placement, but we're encouraging the growth of our sector, and we're encouraging people to join the sector and develop in it. Some of that might sound like it's simply doing it to give back to do the right thing, to do a good thing, something that feels good. And there's an element of truth in that. And some of it is because we genuinely need more people in our own business as well as in the sector. So it is, a lot of it is about recruitment for us, and not just now, for the future. We also benefit from getting feedback, from ideas, from people that join us not having had any experience, not having the blinkers attached to seeing the same thing every day. We can get suggestions as to how to do things differently, how to do things better. And you know, a lot of my team have missed having work placements over the last year and a half, 2 years, while we've been through COVID, and hopefully we're going to see a little bit more of it open up as we move forward. So for you as students and parents, you know, you've gone through a big transition going from school to college, and life is presumably very different from what it was in school. Well, it's yet another transformation to go into the work life. This is a real opportunity to experience that work life, and in a vocation, in a sector that you've chosen to study. It can reinforce your choices as being the right choice. Equally well, it can redirect you, refocus you. And, you know, an example, outside of being an employer, I'm a parent. My son was studying IT. He did some work experience in help desk, and he absolutely hated it. He wanted to go into web development. So it changed the way he looked at that program and where he went on to it. Funnily enough, he's now in fitness, nothing to do with IT and software. And that's part of life. And you can learn so much with experiences like an industry placement. You're going to learn about what a good employer looks like and what a bad employer might look like, and how to be an employee, whether it's actually the place that you're going to work part-time, full-time in the future or not, and whether it's a sector. You're going to learn about employment, about employers, about managers, and the relationship between employees at colleague level and managers, what it's like to be told what to do in the workplace and the expectations that are on you. So it gives you some real insight into what working life is like, let alone the sector that you're in. And I would say you do really well in your work placement to interact with as many people as you're able to, not just try and talk to the managers, and not just try and talk to the people that you're assigned to work with. If you have opportunity to network with people in that workplace, you can learn so much about what it's like in the different roles that people have in the sector that you're looking at. And what you put in is often what you get out. And you can volunteer to do more than you're being asked to do. And, you know, we as employers need to keep you safe, and we need to make sure that you're engaged, looked after. And we will often verge on being safer and not stretching you and not asking you too much. But you might want to do more. You might want to be able to do more. You need to voice that and ask it. Open communication is really important in this. And an open mind. I used to do a lot of work placements for a university program in Canada that was deemed the best hospitality program. And people came in with a bit of education on how to do things in the hotel sector, and they thought they knew more than they did. And a lot of the time, their work placements were 3 months full time. They wasted a month of the time opening their mind to see things from the real world perspective. If you go in with that mindset that you're looking to learn as much as you're looking to show what you know, you can learn a lot. And an example, I worked with somebody who came in from that same program with that open mindset. She learned so much over that 3-month term, and she ended up with a full-time job as she left that program. And she ended up being somebody that employed me, having me being the person that trained her. She ended up 2 years later being in a role where she employed me to do a job. So things can turn around in that way. So a little bit about what to expect. You should expect to have some form of interview process before you start. And that might just be an informal conversation. It might be on the telephone in person, or like this, we're all doing the video calls. You should expect to talk about some boring, what we call housekeeping issues. So what to wear, what time to show up, what to do if things go wrong. So if you get hurt at work, how to report it, and how to keep yourself safe. Anna mentioned that the employer has to do a health and safety questionnaire, which they have to have on file. That's the paperwork side of it. You need to know how to keep yourself safe. Some sectors, there are dangerous machines. So in a hotel, we've obviously got hot ovens, we've got machinery that slices meat, we've got machinery that compacts waste. And we say that you can't use that, and we say it to keep you safe, and legally there are some machines that you can't operate if you're under 18. So it's really important to go through that boring process. But an interview is an opportunity for you to ask questions about what your individual industry placement is going to be like. It's an opportunity for you to say what you want to learn while you're there, and particular aspects that you might be more interested in than others, and that can help shape your experience at your placement. You should expect to work alongside someone most of the time, so that there's somebody always nearby that you can ask questions, you can ask for support. Rarely should you be put on your own in a lone working situation. Obviously that's for safety, but also it's to give you that guidance as you're learning what the employer does. So I'd suggest that you also look at it as a long job interview. You know, your work placement is there, it's unpaid work, it's unpaid time that you spend in an employment environment, and you might be looking for a job, whether that's part-time, that you just want to do a Saturday job, an evening job, or similar. Consider it a job interview, because even if you don't want a part-time job now, you're studying in that sector, so it's likely that you're going to work in that sector, and the person and people you interact with might be people that go on to be your potential employers. Or in the case of a couple of individuals that did work placement at the hotel I'm at now, they did their placement before I started. Their application came through for a job, or this one person's application came through for a job, and I was told by one of the people that worked there during their work placement not to touch them with a barge pole. Their conduct was inappropriate, their dress was inappropriate, their attendance, and how they treated the employer, the employees around them. They said, we just wouldn't want this person on our team. And so their opportunity to prove themselves as a potential employee failed. And it's worth considering that for the future. Ask lots of questions, because you're never going to get the answers to the things you want if you don't ask the questions. and there's no such thing as a stupid question. Sometimes you might need to gauge your time because the workplace can be busy, and sometimes you need to wait until somebody has the availability and capacity to give you the time to give you the answers. But never shy away from asking questions, because it is your experience, and any employer that subscribes to do an industry placement does it because they want to give back or because they want to recruit. And so it's in their best interests to answer your questions honestly. Also going to endorse what Anna said about going on to work. As recently as a few years ago, I was at a different hotel and had somebody that had just been employed at the end of a work placement from BCOT. And she was employed at a time where there weren't many positions available. And she'd been on a work placement which had initially been suggested that it sticks in the normal college hours. And a large function was on during her placement. And she said, "Can I come and help at that evening function?" And she did a great job. She got employed. She put the same effort in as an employee. She got onto a management training program with the company I was with at the time. She then went on to a management role, and she had a flourishing future in the hospitality industry, but ended up being headhunted by a supplier to the hotel industry. So her map changed slightly from what she'd originally studied, but her attitude, her approach, her commitment to what she did, her professionalism, guided her from learning the hospitality industry, and she's now supplying the hospitality industry. So you don't always know what the end outcome is going to be, but it's well worth putting in what you hope to get out. I hope some of what I've said will resonate with you. I hope it will help you. But understand that your outcome from your industry placement, as easily as it could be to endorse your choices, it could change your choices. Don't be afraid of that. Just put in what you want to get out, and I hope it will be a great experience for you.